single time we know we've made some strides and towards justice, and but mostly we know that we're all together. We're all together in this, and it's always wonderful to be here. And I want to pass on apologies from the Premier, who, as you know, is devoted to you. And we've been in Townsville all week for regional parliament, and she had some commitments there today that she was not able to put aside, and so she has asked me to pass on her apologies and her best wishes to all of you. And I know she'll want to hear the stories from today as well. And I was listening to Marie just then, and just thinking about the stories that Marie has heard in her own country, and I think it saddens all of us to know. It just reminds us that, in fact, the experiences that so many of you have had in Australia have actually been had by so many other children in so many other places around the world. And I think that that brings us home to them, just the enormity of what we're all talking about. And today is just such an important day to, I think, remind everyone about that in this Child Protection Week. It's a very important day to say to people who are broader than our group of friends and supporters and family here, that we need to say to everybody, don't forget, this is what happened in our country, and it didn't happen that long ago, and it's still happening, and we can't let it happen into the future. We need to make that statement really strongly. And of course, only 3 months ago we were here for the 20th anniversary of the Ford inquiry, and on that day we applauded your courage, and we told some stories, and we looked at, there was a wonderful timeline sitting up on the back wall there of all of the milestones that we've had since the Ford inquiry, and it was important to see that there had been those victories, that there had been some movement and some progress, and that there were people intent on making this right. And yet again at that event, and again today, as I've just had a lovely time coming in from the lifts and just catching up with so many of you, I am always so struck by how strong you are and how brave you are to keep on telling your story, even though they are such hard stories to tell, and you are intent to making sure that that doesn't happen to others. You are intent on making it right, and I think I say that every single occasion when I'm here and I speak up at this lectern, that I just want to say thank you for that, and what a deep admiration I have that you're willing to actually do that when it actually hurts so much to do it, and that is making a difference. And I'm pleased to say that, you know, I feel like we're making some strides as well, and I'm just seeing Bob Atkinson sitting here, who's the chair of our Truth, Healing and Reconciliation Task Force, and I see members in the audience today of that task force who are actually working on your behalf. We set up that task force because we wanted to have a check-in point. We wanted some things to be right, and we wanted to know that all of the things that you told us, that there is that checking point where we can say that they're happening. And I know in this year the task force identified 6 different priorities, the main things that they wanted to get done, and 2 of those were about raising awareness of the lifelong impact of institutional child sexual abuse through meetings with groups and educating them. That was a really strong feedback that you gave, that we have to educate people. We have to make sure people know and they don't forget. And the task force described this as keeping the momentum going and keeping the books of the Royal Commission, bringing the books of the Royal Commission to the people. And true to its word, in recent months the task force has presented to the National Child Protection Conference. They've spoken to the former children of the Cherbourg dormitory, and Marie mentioned that before. They've attended the opening of the new exhibition at the Ration Shed Museum, and they've rolled out the Truth Healing and Reconciliation Grants Program, and I was talking about that at the anniversary of the Ford Inquiry. We're going to be announcing the successful applicants of that grants program very soon, and I'm so looking forward to seeing those stories rolling out. And I want to just thank the task force for their ongoing commitment to raising awareness, and that is such important work. As you know, the Queensland Government began participating in the National Redress Scheme at the end of last year, and one of my big priorities is to make sure that all of the responsible institutions are participating in that scheme. And you know, the majority of them are, but there are still institutions who have not made that decision. And I want you to know that this government is not going to stop until all of those institutions sign in and take their responsibility. We will not stop, and we are going to keep that pressure on.
Awesome.
I absolutely give you my word that we will do that. We recently signed a memorandum of understanding with the Local Government Association of Queensland so that local governments can participate in that scheme, and that is going to have such a big impact. But there are still more to come, and we need to see them coming. I wanted to tell you about a couple of pieces of legislation that we've got on the table at the moment because they're really important, and I would love you all to actually have your say in those. One of them is around new criminal child sexual abuse offences, and you might know that last month the Attorney General released some legislation for consultation, and it was the first step in implementing some of the criminal justice recommendations from the Royal Commission, and that legislation has two prongs to it. One, two new criminal offences, and that is a failure to report institutional child sexual abuse and a failure to protect against institutional child sexual abuse. And the maximum penalty for the failure to report is 3 years, and for the failure to protect is 5 years. And these offences will apply to include any information connected with a religious confession.
Yes.
And these offences send a very strong message that children should not suffer in silence, and that instances of child sexual abuse can no longer go unreported to police. It will be an offence to not report those instances to police. So the excuses of having disclosures made by perpetrators in the confessional will no longer be justification for not reporting.
Awesome.
Offenders of historical child sexual abuse will be sentenced according to the standards of today and not from when the offence was committed.
Awesome.
So consultation is open on that until the 20th of September on the Queensland Government website. But please, there are many people in the audience. If you feel a bit daunted about actually having your say, then please talk to the many friends you have in this audience to actually work out how to do that. And we want to hear from all of you. The second piece of legislation is something that I'm in charge of, and it's amendments to the Child Protection Act. And absolutely key to this, there are three things. And I want to say thank you to all of you because this is something I'm really passionate about, and you've actually taught me about it, and you've taught me about why this is really important. And that's about the three things. We're looking at reshaping the regulation of care, but we are looking in this legislation to reinforce children's rights and to strengthen children's voices, because you haven't had that. Up until now you haven't had it enough, and that's what you deserve, and that's what this legislation is about.
Thank you. Awesome.
Because I can't talk to any of you and know what you've been through and know you never had a chance to say anything. Never had a chance, and you have to live with that your whole life. So I would really love you to have your say on that legislation as well. And you will be speaking for yourself, but you will be speaking for children now and in the future, and that is, I know that's important to all of you. So that legislation is open until the end of September, and again, talk to anyone. Talk to anyone here to help you, so just say it in your own words. We've got to get these reforms right, and this is the way that we can do them. We can't make things better for you, but we can make things right for the future. And I want to say to you, I know that sometimes government moves slowly, and it seems to be very slow. But we are intent every single day we are intent on making things better, on hearing you and on making things better. And we might stuff up sometimes, but believe me, it's not because we don't want to do absolutely the best that we can for you. So thank you for your patience. And thank you for your bravery and your strength, and thank you for what you are continuing to teach us. It is such a great privilege to be the minister responsible for doing this. So thank you, and thank you to everyone today, and well done, well done.